Well, hello to everyone, wherever you are around the world. It is fantastic to have you along on this webinar today. We've got an amazing bit of training lined up for you with the fantastic Amy Chaplin, who you're going to meet in just a moment. But while we kind of wait for the last few people to jump on the call, wherever you are in the world, in Perth, it's going to be 6 a.m. In London, you've got a bit of a late one, 11 p.m. New York City, it's about 5 p.m., I think. And LA 2 p.m. wherever you are in those time zones. And wow, I'm looking forward to working with you. So grab a coffee or maybe a glass of wine if it's wine o'clock where you are, and a notebook. We're about to get started, and if you can see the comments, the number of people we've got well over 350 people registered for this webinar, and I've been asked people to introduce themselves just while we wait before we get started. And we have people from Alaska, from Australia, Argentina, Boston, Austin. Kathy Galt mentions that she's actually from Oregon, in the actual Wild West, she says, come to think of it. Hi, Kathy. It's great. It's really, really good to have so many people. So, and we've got a lot of newbies as well. So people that have never been on a webinar before. So I do hope you enjoy it. We've got a lot of InnerCircle members as well. I can see Ellen's just signed in. Paul's there as well. Sam Rao from Practicia's signed in. So brilliant. Great to have everyone live and ready to go. And I think we'll just get started with the content, because we've got a fair bit to cover today. And I would really like to introduce you now to the people that are talking, because you may not have actually met me for a start. So my name's Tim Topham. I'm a piano teacher and a blogger and a podcaster and a presenter and a few other things from Melbourne, Australia. I've been running my online kind of businesses for a few years now, and really my passion is to help other teachers to teach differently. That's my core reason for doing all these things. You know, piano teaching is changing, the world is changing, technology is changing things, and there's a lot that I feel I can help in not only giving my own ideas about how things can be improved around the world, but also in helping bring together people who have great vision and idea and are innovative. So that's a quick bit about me. If you haven't found out too much more about me yet, then make sure you head to my site. I'll be telling you more about some of my resources later on. But over in the background, Amy, good morning, or good evening actually to you. How are you going?
I'm good. How are you, Tim?
Very, very good. It is so awesome to have Amy here. Amy's a piano teacher from Indiana. She's got a passion for teaching and cooking, which is a pretty cool combination because it suits me as well. In fact, we were just before the call talking about the lamb roast that I cooked last night, which I was very proud of. So she's recently decided to combine her passions, and she's created this fantastic blog called Piano Pantry. And I'm sure she'll mention it later on because she's building up some great resources over there as well. She took on her first private student in the summer of 2000 as a freshman in college and hasn't looked back from then. She has a Bachelor of Music in Choral Education K-12 and was a choir director for the first 3 years of her career. And she says that being a school teacher was one of the hardest things she's ever done in her life, next to getting her master's degree. And Amy, I can understand. So she has a master's in music in piano pedagogy and performance from Ball State University. And she is a little bit Australian, right, Amy?
A little bit, yeah. I'll take that.
So you lived over here. You lived over here in Melbourne, didn't you, for a few years?
Yes, we did from 2006 to 2009.
So it is
great experience.
Very, very cool to have I'll call you a fellow Aussie on the call today. Although you definitely haven't. That feels pretty good. You definitely haven't got any of that accent left, I'm afraid.
Not anymore, unfortunately.
All right. So today, most people are aware of the content that we're about to deliver, but I want to mention a couple of the bonuses that you guys are going to be able to grab hold of if you stay right until the end. We've got 3 really good bonuses. The first one is Amy's Marketing Resource Guide. So this is a 3-page guide which lists, she's gone to the trouble of actually listing all the links that she's going to mention to services that you can use to help with your marketing, to graphic design software, to research that she's got. It's all there. It's about 3 pages long. That's just a tiny little snippet of one of them that you can see on the screen. I'm also going to give you my marketing plan infographic, which just lists about 5 or 6 points, which ask questions that are really good to consider when you're about to approach a new marketing plan. And you're also going to get, importantly, in my opinion, a professional learning certificate. So I think it's really important for piano teachers or music teachers generally to keep a record of the kind of training they're doing, whether it's business related or pedagogy related. I think it's really a great idea to have it. So you'll be getting a certificate that looks like this right at the end. If you hang on until the end, I'll give you the link to these 3 bonuses. And for some people around the world, of course, if you're working in schools, this is actually a mandated requirement that you create you track the amount of training that you're doing. So I think this could be a really great certificate to have for showing to parents and things like that potentially. Now, I'm really, really pleased to be able to offer a really special discount to membership of my community right at the end of this webinar as well. So after we've had a bit of a chat about the marketing side of things, so we're going to have a quick look at some of the other resources that I offer. And as I say, all the webinar attendees are going to get a really great discount. If you'd like to continue the conversations that we're having and the training we're having, then you're going to love what I've got in store for you there. Okay, now, if you've got questions at any time during the webinar, then please, you'll notice, well, many of you have already introduced yourself in the chat box. So fantastic. If you've got a question that's relevant at the time of what we're talking about, then please leave a comment in that box. If it's something of a more general nature, then I'd ask that you leave the question to the end, because I don't want to be interrupting Amy too much while she's doing her thing. So if you've got a question that's relevant at the time, please feel free to pop it in there. I won't necessarily be able to answer all those questions, but we'll try and answer as many as we can at the end. All right. So now that everyone's introduced themselves, we've got quite a few people on the call, which is just really, really cool. I think we might get started. Amy, what do you think?
I'm ready to go. Let's go. Yeehaw!
Ready to rock and roll? Oh, yeehaw.
Right.
All right. You can tell us all about why you chose this title too. I'm sure that'll be part of it. Okay. Over to you, Amy.
Okay, here we go. So I am super excited to do this, you guys. I've watched lots of webinars myself, and this is actually the first one that I've ever done. So I'm just really excited to get all my information out there and hope that I can give you guys some information that will help you to grow your studios. Part of the reason I picked this title, The Wild West of Marketing, had to do with the fact that I did this presentation first recently at MTNA in San Antonio. So of course it fit the location, but also it kind of worked because sometimes I think that marketing can make us feel like cowboys, right? You're out there wanting to grow your business. You love the freedom of working for yourself and doing what you love, kind of like a cowboy's open range. But you can't always just enjoy the beautiful ride. You have to go out there actively and work to round up students. Marketing yourself is kind of like throwing a lasso out there. Hopefully you catch a student when you throw it, and then you throw it to the other side, maybe a little further, and hope to catch an even better student. I'm so sure some of you are shaking your heads right now going, yes, I feel that way. And as pianists and teachers, we're all what I would call a technician. We have a skill that one day realized we could use to open a business and work for ourselves, running an independent studio. So we're just kind of thrown into this world of entrepreneurship, whether we know what we're doing or not. In entrepreneurship, model a business that fulfills the perceived needs of a specific segment of customers. Let me just get there we go. So it doesn't start with the picture of a business to be created, but of the customer. Let's think about it this way. Is communicating clearly in a compelling way with those people that you want to serve, who you want to offer something to. I kind of feel like I want to give you a little more of a snapshot of how I came to where I am today, so you can understand my experience and background and where I'm coming from and all this. And Tim did give you a little snapshot of it, but I'm going to give you just a little bit more. So my studio is in a small town in Indiana called Bluffton. And as he said, I took my first student on at age 19, so I have roughly 16 years of piano teaching experience. I have a Bachelor of Music Education, K-12, and spent the first 3 years as a choral director and also teaching piano part-time. And from there, then we moved to Australia, and I continued my small business of 8 to 10 students part-time. And all of those years that I had a few students, I just felt like I wanted to be a better teacher. I wanted to somehow do this differently. I just felt like I was only teaching the way that I was taught. And while I was in Australia, I realized that my passion had shifted from being a choir director to focusing on piano. And I just really love that one-on-one direct teaching that you get, that piano lessons offered. But like I said, I really wanted to run my business right from the start. So when we returned to Indiana in 2009, I got my master's degree and opened my dream studio and have been teaching full-time for the last 5 years since. And I have around 38 students, preschool through adults. And my business is called Studio 88. It's actually the town where I was originally a public school teacher, so it definitely helped to open a studio where I already had a little bit of history and connection with the community. My studio is in a small office complex off a busy highway in the parking lot of a Dairy Queen, which isn't too bad. And let me just tell you a little bit about the town of Bluffton as well. It's in a small town with a population of just under 10,000. It's 30 minutes directly south of Fort Wayne, which is a city of around 250,000. And in 2015, it was actually named the best place to start a business in the entire state of Indiana. So I kind of got lucky in that. Yeah. And the median household income there is around 40,000 compared to 48,000 for Indiana and 53,000 nationwide. So just kind of giving you a place of where my town sits in the economy. So here's my studio. It's just under 500 square feet, and I have a small keyboard lab. After I opened, I had 23 students within 3 months. However, nearly half of them were personal acquaintances, friends, and even the daughter of my new landlord, of whom had been waiting for me to graduate and open my studio. Now, 9 of those that registered were adults who registered for my 8-week recreational classes, and the 4 that you see here are actually friends from my church. So again, that connection that I already had with the community helped a little bit. Now, 5 months after I opened, I had 31 students registered. And in the beginning, I tried anything and everything I could to market my business. Since it's rare for any teacher to have a full studio immediately, whatever that number may be for you, it's imperative really that marketing is your focus, especially for the first few years if you want to build a clientele base quickly. So there's 2 major parts we're going to talk about today. The first is a snapshot of all my marketing efforts and activities over the course of the last 5 years. And the second part answers the question you're all wondering: how in the world do you know what works? Towards the end, I'm going to give you some great marketing tips and amazing resources for upping your game. So what's a marketing activity? The famous marketing guru Seth Godin says, if it's noticed, it's marketing. I love that. Short, simple, and sweet, and to the point. Truly, it's a single action, whether it was putting an ad in the newspaper, starting a Facebook page, putting out flyers, whatever that may be. And I'm just going to quickly run through a list of these major actions that I took in the order that I did them from day 1 through the end of last year. Now, know that most of these were taken in the first 2 years of the business. So here we go. Get a pen and paper ready. An umbrella contest with the local Creative Arts Council. I set up a studio Facebook page and began posting pictures of the move-in and equipment setup that was going on. I sent an informal email to church worship leaders. I printed studio t-shirts, and every student gets one when they register. This is something that I really feel every studio should be doing, whether it's a t-shirt or a piano bag or a yard sign or a car window decal. Get your logo out there in the community. It's listed with others on the City of Bluffton page. You can see my business there, Studio 88 Piano Lessons, listed at the bottom, and this was free. My students walked in a local parade for the first time, and this has actually become an annual event that my families really look forward to, and it's just a great way to build community and rapport among families. I started posting Take One flyers around town in places that have high traffic areas such as doctor's offices and pet grooming stores. And the best place I found, surprisingly, was my local Goodyear tire store, because they hung these flyers right at the front desk where customers were sitting and waiting, and they were looking directly at them. I posted an ad on Craigslist, and if any of you don't know what Craigslist is, since this might be just a US thing, of course, it's basically a classified ad online. And I did get a couple of inquiries, but I also got some spam, and I quit renewing the ad after about 1 year for this one. I put a free ad in a senior activities publication for several quarters, and I also did a paid ad in a senior living magazine. Paid ad in the newspaper for adult classes, and as you can see, it wasn't exactly cheap. I think this one was only for a couple of days too. I set up a booth at a senior expo. And, you know, there was a little bit of a trend going on here if you haven't seen it. I was really trying to push some recreational classes for adults when I first opened, and it was really great for the first 18 months when all my friends and personal acquaintances signed up for the classes. And I did all the advertising I could muster for these, and I couldn't seem to keep them going. But to be completely honest, it was okay with me because I really found my true passion is with private lessons for children. And I was getting a lot of preschool inquiries, so I began turning my focus to where the demand was and started offering preschool lessons. My husband and I worked with an artist friend to design a logo and made my own professional signage using a vinyl cutter. I held an open house and ribbon cutting ceremony with the Chamber of Commerce at the end of the first year. I mailed out postcard invitations, and hey, this was free advertising in the newspaper, the best kind I could get. Nice size ad to run for a whole week in the newspaper. I think the second year I was open for registration for fall classes, huge price tag, and as you're going to see pretty soon, little results. I opened my business during a community trick-or-treating night called Boo in Bluffton, printed off these cute little size business card ads and attached them to every Tootsie Pop I handed out. I sent a physical letter to local churches offering myself as a fill-in pianist if they were ever in need. Phone and called and met with local school teachers, music school teachers. And some of you are kind of going, what? You want us to make a phone call? And yes, I really do, because honestly, this is one of the most important things and the best things that I've done. Who do parents go to when they're looking for lessons? They ask their kids' music teacher, their band teacher, their choir teacher. You should know who they are. So if you see them around town, you can at least put a face with a name. Here's what I said, right, to just give you a little clue of what you could say to them. Hi, my name's Amy Chaplin. I'm a local piano teacher in town. I have a studio behind DQ called Studio 88. The reason I'm calling is I was hoping to get acquainted with all the music teachers in the county, and I was just hoping I could drop by sometime during your free period for just 5 minutes to introduce myself. I know you're busy, and I promise it won't take any time at all. And every single one of them said yes. Awesome. Easy. Do it. All right, so moving along, and this is a big one. I registered for Google Places. It's now called Google My Business. And basically what it does is it lets this pretty little image pop up on the side whenever people Google you. You do have to have a Google Plus account to register. And if you look at the screenshot, I Googled piano lessons, Bluffton, Indiana. And you can see this is what I got. Number 1 is my Facebook page, and number 2. Number 3 is my Yelp account, and number 5 is my LinkedIn account. So I would say that I'm pretty visible online. I would definitely suggest to anyone to do a quick online audit of yourself. So imagine you're a parent and Google various phrases that you would use if you were looking for lessons and see what pops up. Are you visible? As I said in this rundown, I also registered with Yelp at the same time. You know, besides it being another hit on Google, I haven't exactly had activity from here. And also just remember that Yelp is open to reviews that we can't remove. I opened a Twitter account, and you know, honestly, I'm not a huge fan of Twitter, but I don't regret getting the account because most of our school systems are huge in Twitter. And what am I doing? I'm connecting with schools. So let me just take a quick second to comment on social media in general. First of all, you don't have to do it all, okay? Figure out where your ideal customer is and pick the top 2 sites they're on. Maybe you're going to hit Facebook hard and Instagram. If you want collegiate students, maybe it's Twitter and Snapchat. You know, like I said, Twitter hasn't been my most favorite thing to be on, but I definitely don't regret it because those schools are now connected with me and I can interact with them. I love how Hugh Sung actually put it in his podcast interview with Tim a few weeks ago. Here's what he said. He said, Facebook is for creating relationships, Twitter is for communicating, and Yelp is like Yellow Pages.
Yeah.
Sung.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so back to it. Once again, I ran a paid ad in the newspaper promoting a drawing to win an iPod Touch for those who registered in a 2-month period. And I was holding on to hope that the newspaper would give me something, and I was pretty much done after that with the newspaper. I submitted a little ditty to the local Homeschool Association newsletter, and I was actually surprised that I didn't get more to fly this way with working with homeschool associations. I had a vocal friend who also did the same thing, and she didn't really get a lot of success either. I took work playing in a band for local competitive show choir, And this is a photo of us at Fame in Chicago. But I actually knew this director because she was my student teacher that I taught with 10 years prior. And the cool thing about this is after me playing for this band, a lady from our church is a writer, and she asked to do an article on us. So I had a special interest story printed about me in the newspaper, you know, finally a win for the newspaper. And this was great free advertising. I was pretty excited about that. All right, I mailed a flyer to local music teachers in surrounding counties about a summer piano boot camp. I started offering summer classes to the Parks and Recreation Department. Offered free 50-minute classes. I did a top music time, a preschool play and discovery, and a meet the piano class for 7 to 8 and 9 to 10-year-olds. And I actually just did a blog post on this on my site, talking about basically a $0 marketing strategy. It cost me nothing to run these classes, and how it's made me over $5,000 in tuition by students that have registered after doing these classes. And you know, the reason I do this is free advertising. Again, I mean, the Parks and Recreation Department has over 5,000 people on their Facebook page. Do I have 5,000 people? No. Okay, so that's a huge reach. And 2 of these students that you're seeing here, they both signed up for lessons that summer following their class. So if you have any chance to do something like this in their community, I would definitely recommend you to check it out. I made car window decals and gave them out free to anyone willing to put them on their car. December of 2013, I ran my first special, and I posted this on Facebook, and I sold 12 gift certificates. Now, it's a little bit of a lowball price, but I did that because I was just really wanting to draw a lot of people in, and honestly, it was still an extra $640, and who doesn't like that over the holidays? And the nice thing about gift certificates is sometimes people don't even, you know, turn them in. I think I had at least 2 people that didn't end up using them, and so I made an extra $90 for nothing. And lastly, I did a church mailing, posted on Facebook, and created as an event on Facebook an ad for a summer keys to worship class. And this one I actually designed on Canva, which I'm going to talk a little bit more about later. And there's one major thing that's missing that everyone says that you should have that I didn't do. I'm sure everybody knows exactly what that is right now. Can you hear me, Tim?
Yep.
Okay, all right. Okay, all right. Just making sure, because my husband was watching, he couldn't hear it, so he wanted to make sure that it was working. All right, so everyone, what is the big thing? A website. I did not take the time to develop a studio website. And everyone is asking, why in the world would you not do that? And for me, it was because I felt that having a Facebook page was the most important thing, and that the Facebook page was as good as a website until I was ready to do it right. It's definitely in the works right now, but honestly, I have found that anytime people say they found me online, when you Google me, what was the first thing that popped up? It was my Facebook page. So to me, as long as you have something, you know, that's the most important thing. And Facebook right now is the thing to have it on. So I definitely don't regret it. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to give you a big snapshot picture of what all these marketing activities look like over the last few years. So it's chart time, and I'm sure you are so excited for this.
I love a good graph.
Right. Okay, so what you see here is a visual of the total marketing activities that I engaged in by quarter over the last 4.5 years. So you can see at the very beginning, I opened my studio in August of 2011. I started really heavy in the first quarter with lots of things, but I dropped to none in quarter 4 because I had so many students registering. I was trying to figure out how to manage 23 students, which is more than I had ever had at one time. In 2012, throughout the year, you can see I pick up pretty heavily again as I figure out what I'm doing, and I decide, okay, it's now I really need to grow this business quickly. In 2013, I went into maintenance mode, so it just kind of sits there. And then the very first quarter of 2014, it suddenly drops to 0. And this is right after I ran that Christmas special for the first time, and I quickly hit 45 students. I pick up maybe just a little more the rest of the year, but it's very minimal. Until the summer of 2015, and I realize, even though my studio is full, I know that it's important that I keep marketing myself, so I pick up my marketing a little bit through the summer. Now what I'm going to do is take all that marketing activity and compare it with total potential customer contact. The line that you're seeing, that kind of goes from 25 up to 250, is customer contact. So this is every single person that I've talked to, whether they've taken lessons or they haven't. So after 1 year, I had spoken to 100 potential customers, and at this point, I've spoken to around 250. Again, this does include those that have actually registered. Now, the blocks that you see is the total amount of marketing activities. So for example, in 2011, I did 10 when I started in August through December, 10 different things. By 2012, I had done 25 total. So this is compounding. 2013 and 14 and 15, it just increases. By the end of last year, I'd done just over 40 different things. Now, I think that this chart is important because what it does, it gives us a big picture that shows that marketing may not be tied to exactly one single activity, right? You need to think about it as the big picture. It's about building your brand over time and being consistent and making efforts to put yourself out there even when you're not taking students. Now, I wonder if any of you out there listen to podcasts, and I'm sure you do, or at least I hope you do, because you're here with Mr. Tim Topham, so hopefully you listen to him. Now, I'm totally addicted to podcasts, and last year I was listening to The Modern Musician with Colin Thompson, and he was talking to Chris Foley of the Collaborative Piano Blog, and they were talking about this very thing. They were talking about marketing yourselves as a musician, and Chris said, it's all unique, and you just have to throw lots of tactics at the wall and see what works. You just have to be inventive because there may be solutions that are high-tech or low-tech that work, but who's going to know until you actually try to run those in your community just to see what is actually successful? A lot of times we try to throw things at the wall and see what sticks, but we don't really know what sticks because we don't keep track. Now, I'm usually listening to podcasts when I'm driving a lot of times, so I'm sure at this point I was putting on the brakes so I could make a note of this quote because it just fits so perfectly with what we're talking about today. I feel like I've done exactly what he said. I've thrown a lot of things at the wall, except I did keep track. So in these past 4.5 years, I've kept detailed records of every inquiry, conversation, and contact I have with potential students. I kept an Excel spreadsheet with several columns of information, including the date of the initial inquiry, the contact name, the student's name, how the contact was made. Did they first contact me via phone, email, or Facebook? Any kind of follow-up notes, just thoughts that I had during the conversation. And then the biggest one was how they heard about me. I had no idea how important this question was going to become, as it really just seemed like an obvious thing to ask and record. So I've spoken to and recorded conversations with just over 250 individuals, as you heard earlier, regarding lessons, which again includes those who simply inquired as well as those who ultimately registered. Now, over the course of the last 52 months, that's an average of 4 to 5 per month. Now, I realize for some that may sound like a small number, especially if you're from a large city or a school of music, but I'm a small town girl here, and for me, I think that's a lot. Of those 250 people, it boiled down to 13 specific ways they told me they heard about me. Those 13 specific areas fit into what I feel are 5 visible areas of marketing: online, traditional, public or community marketing, seasonal or promotional marketing, personal in-studio marketing. Now, online, as we established earlier, for me basically means Google and Facebook. They said that they found me online and found my Facebook page. Traditional marketing would be that they said they found me by my location, by flyers that I put out, or by a newspaper ad. Community marketing would be like the city parks department, local schools, the local arts council, the ribbon cutting ceremony I had, churches. Promotional marketing would be the specials that I ran. And personal marketing would be any kind of personal connections, people that I already knew, going into my business. I just knew them already from other things. Referrals from students and referrals from networking from other teachers. So, are you guys ready to see the results? I bet you're excited.
I am.
Here we go. Okay, so I'm going to give you a second to absorb it for a minute, and I bet you're shocked. Of those 250 people, 10% found me online, 29% traditional, 14% community, 3% promotional, 34% personal in-studio marketing, and then 10% I just really didn't get a chance to ask them. So let's look at the inner workings of each of these areas. So, let's go to that traditional one first. So traditional marketing, 62 people found me by location. So at first you're going, oh my gosh, look at all those traditional people, but it was mostly driven by location.
So by location,
personal marketing,
where you were placed, like the physical spot.
they just said, I saw your sign, I saw you out front, I saw you behind Dairy Queen. Yeah, exactly. In personal marketing, 43 people already knew me personally. 36 came to me by a referral. through recommendations by other music teachers for networking. The next highest level, community marketing, was basically a balance of school teachers sending students my way and then students inquiring or signing up from lessons after taking the Parks classes, my free Parks classes. Okay.
So we've had a comment, and I'm thinking the same thing. Must love music piano. Sorry, I don't know the name of the person. Says the personal doesn't surprise me at all. Because we all know word of mouth is great, but the online one does. Did that surprise you as well?
Yeah. A little bit. You know, I'm going to show a little bit later that the difference between those that actually registered and those that did and didn't register. You know, maybe part of it's because I don't have a website, but I don't know. I guess I think that if you are selling yourself well as a teacher and you're putting yourself out there in their community, I think that personal contact is just still so important. And human I mean, there's just so much still online, but I think human contact is just still such a major thing. I don't know. I guess it didn't completely surprise me.
Yep. Cool.
It's still fairly strong though with 10%, but I think most people would have expected online to be a little bit higher. Okay, so let's take a look at the 13 specific ways that people said they heard about me, from the most to the least effective. So what we're doing is we're breaking those out of those 5 major categories and into this very specific areas that people said. Locations at the top, followed by personal referrals, school teachers, Parks Department, promotions, networking, and the bottom 5 were the flyers, newspaper, arts council, churches. So I'll give you a second to absorb that. Now, you may be looking at this and say, well, you know, you were only contacted by 5 people by putting out flyers, so that shows that I shouldn't bother. Well, perhaps, but I think it could depend on where you're at. You know, if you're struggling for students and you need every little bit that you can get, then flyers are free advertising. Heck, I had as many people find me through flyers as I did through the newspaper, but I spent, what, $500 in my first 2 years of the business on the newspaper? So, exactly. I mean, on that side of the things, if you think about it, the newspaper ad was definitely not cost effective, but what does it hurt to spend an hour hanging flyers around busy locations in town? And you might look at this and go, well, over half the people engaged with me because of location, personal connection, or referrals. So doesn't that mean that as long as I have a good location and I'm a good teacher and, you know, people are referring me, that I don't need to waste my time giving free summer classes with the Parks Department? Yeah, but like I said earlier, that first summer I did those 8 hours of free classes, landed me 2 full-time students right away, which I still have, you know, and I sat down and calculated a couple days ago, and I've made over $5,000 in tuition between all the students that I've had register with those Parks classes. So I would say that's a pretty good return for my investment. You know, word of mouth marketing, as we've always known and are proving today, is definitely huge in our business. Yes, like we said earlier, there's nothing wrong with it, but it can't be your only strategy to grow your studio. I thought it would be interesting to compare all those people I came in contact with those who registered. Okay, so like I said earlier, this is the same chart, but what it's doing is it's breaking it down into registrations versus inquiries. And I just find this really fascinating. So the darker one is those who just inquired, and the lighter one is those who actually registered. So the one thing I found the most interesting about this was that although location was my biggest one-hit wonder, that's that second bar there for total inquiries, okay, in the end, it didn't create as an effective, it is an impact for actual registration as those who already knew me. Even those who were referred to me still had a 50% sign-up rate. Now let's look at the online one there. Only 25% of those who found me online actually signed up. That's actually worse than location. So, you know, notice no one who inquired after seeing the newspaper ad even signed up. Again, no newspaper ads.
It's really not looking.
You know, we're trying. Media, you know, it's not. Okay, so when you pull all of those 13 specific tactics back into the big picture, those 5 categories of online, traditional, community, promotional, and personal types of marketing, we see an even greater connection. On the left is those who just inquired. Okay, on the right is those who ultimately registered. So lots of people inquire when they see you online. They see your great location, right? So we've got online 13%, traditional marketing 35%. But when it comes down to making that commitment, it's those who know you best. So the online drops to 6% and traditional 20% for actual registrations. Okay, so if you look at personal, Those who only inquired but didn't sign up, that's only 20%. But 54% of people that I knew actually ended up registering. It's those customers who refer you, those teachers you network with who recommend you, those people you already have some connection with or have a relationship with ultimately drive your business. So what do I take away from this? You matter. Who you are matters. What kind of teacher you are matters. Let me give you some marketing tips, okay? So we're moving out of the charts into some nitty-gritty. First of all, know who your customers are. Seth Godin rightly states, everyone is not your customer. This is really hard for us to grasp, especially when you're at a place where you just need students, right? But sit down and force yourself to be specific about what your ideal student is. Throw your focus into that demographic. In the beginning, I focused a lot on promoting those recreational classes for adults. Eventually that focus changed, and now I focus on school-age children. You might be an expert in early childhood classes or jazz or teach multiple instruments. Know your ideal customer. Put out quality materials. We all know first impressions are important, but usually we think of that phrase in context of how we present ourselves. Don't forget the impressions your advertising materials are making. Does it look like it's from the 1990s and done in Microsoft Word with clip art? Sorry. In a recent post by Teach Piano Today, they were talking about this very thing, and they said, according to Nobel Peace Prize winning author and psychologist Daniel Kahneman, our brain uses mental shortcuts to make decisions based on something he calls what you see is all there is. It means that people looking at your advertising are making lasting assumptions about you, the quality of your lessons, the feel of your studio, basically what they see directly in front of them. Use some of the amazing free online tools out there to create fun ads. Places like Canva, PicMonkey, and photo editing apps make it easy to create fun social media images or online ads, and they're very user-friendly. PicMonkey is especially great for resizing images and creating layouts. Canva is designed more for doing social media ads and images. I'm actually going to show you a few here that I've created so to see what's possible, okay? This is a thing I did for my newsletter for my color recital my students did this past fall. This is my blog, pianopantry.com, my Friday Finds post logo that I designed in Canva.
Highly recommended reading for everyone.
Yes, thank you. This is my Christmas project I did with my students this past year. A lot of these are ones that I do in my newsletter. Merry Christmas to my students. This is a thing on spring break. You know, we're such a visual society. Everybody likes images. So it took me, maybe 5 minutes to make this instead of just writing no lessons April 4th to 7th. It was a little more appealing to look at it like this. Other policy. Students performing at a local department store performance. Class I did last year. So it's just fun. It's so much more fun to look at, and it's really easy to use once you learn your way around it. And it's free too. Make sure your images are sized appropriately. There is a link to proper social media image sizes in your handout that you're going to get at the end of this. We also invested in some quality tools from the start, including a vinyl cutter used for all my outdoor signage, as well as the car window decals. In the past year, MTNA, that's Music Teachers National Association, has worked out a really great discount with Office Max here in the US. Since my nearest office supply store is actually a 30-minute drive, I invested in and use a continuous ink system with my Epson inkjet printer. Buying ink in bulk allows me to print to my heart's content in color for a fraction of the cost of regular cartridges. So just little things like this can help you up your marketing. If you're like me and more rural, that Office Max discount I mentioned, it's honored online as well. Again, I have links to many of these resources in the handout that you're going to get. So make an extra effort to put out great looking marketing materials. In my opinion, there's really no excuse for not having great looking materials these days, as there's so many free and easy tools to use. Facebook is your friend. Let's love Facebook, okay? Customers have way more choices and way less time. Where do they go when they're looking for a piano teacher for Betty or suggestions for where to eat dinner Friday night? Seriously, they ask their friends on Facebook. You've all seen it. You've all done it, I'm sure. So just a couple, pointers, since Facebook is such a big one, okay? You do have to have a Facebook profile before you can have a page. Don't be afraid to invite all of your friends to like your page, because a page that only has 10 likes does not say that you're something that people are talking about. So try to build your page follows quickly. If you look on the left side of the page, 8 friends to like this page. When you click on it, this box pops up. Not invited Tim Topham to like my page. At least at the time of doing this page clip, I did. But, okay, this must have been an old one then. So ask all incoming families permission to friend them, and then tag the heck out of every photo. Okay, photos that are tagged draw people to my page like crazy. Just note that when you click tag photo, you have to click on a face, and I prefer to just go and edit on the post and just say who I was with. Kind of a little simple thing, but that's just my trick. I prefer doing it that way. Sometimes Facebook can be finicky too on my studio page and won't always recognize names. I don't know what the glitch is, but I always go back if it won't let me tag, and go in a few days later and go back and retag every photo that I can.
Yeah. It is
Post
a
often,
bit weird like that, isn't it, Amy? Sometimes Facebook.
I don't know why it does that. It drives me crazy.
I mean. It's worth doing though, for sure. It's a great tip.
It really is. Like, it's amazing. As soon as I tag a photo, like, there's tons of people that I'm seeing activity on my page, people that I don't know that, are connected to other people that like my page, and it's crazy. So,
yep.
Okay. So the next tip is, please post often, but keep it to student achievements, right? Don't fill your feed with inspiring quotes, articles for parents, and shares from other people's pages. When a parent visits your page, they need to see student successes at the top, right? Along with that, pin a post to the top of the page like this one here, and swap it out every week. Be the one to choose the very first thing that people see. On average, we have generally only like 2 to 3 seconds to catch people's attention before they leave a page. Use a fun photo editing app to spice up the photos a little bit. And create a call to link button like this one here. You can make it a link to your website, or like I did, it says call now. There's the call now. Okay. Use the scheduling tool. Like when you go to post, you can actually schedule your post instead of just publishing it right away. And try to post at high times. I think it's like around 11 or 11:30 during the week, or 7 o'clock at night, and on like 10 o'clock on Saturday morning. This is just going to help you reach more people. And just note that this is one of the reasons that you should run your business on a page rather than a personal profile, because you can't schedule posts on profiles. And experiment with direct marketing on Facebook. You can create ads as easily as $1 a day. The best place to get advice for this is to download Daniel Patterson's free online guide, The Piano Teacher's Ultimate Facebook Guide. And it's amazing. Daniel's a teacher right here in the state of Indiana, and it's not even actually just for piano teachers, but it's so useful for all independent teachers. You're going to wish you had it 5 years ago.
Yep.
And the link to this is in your handout.
Really good. Daniel's just written a post on our blog. So if anyone's interested, they can find the links to all his stuff in that recent post. It just came out last week. He did a post about business at timtopham.com.
Yeah, I saw that. It's fantastic. So yeah, definitely a must download on this one.
Sorry, Amy, while I've got you, I just had a question from Lynette, just regarding privacy issues with using images of students. Mm-hmm. She says, is there privacy issues with using images without parental consent? On my registration forms that my students fill out at the beginning of every year, I have the parents basically sign a media release that states whether they will allow photos, for me to post photos anywhere, whether it's, YouTube video or a post on Facebook or on my website, anything like that. So and then I keep track of it, so I know what students that I shouldn't use photos of. But yeah, you definitely should be aware of that and not just post freely. So definitely get permission. Yep.
Easiest way to do is just get permission at the beginning of the year.
Yep.
Okay, so my 4th tip is to make yourself visible as much as you can. Walk in parades, play at specials with churches with your students, take them to nursing homes, look for places that maybe even you can play your own personal gigs. Maybe it's a high-end restaurant or a new facility, or join the Chamber of Commerce, but make yourself visible in the community. Visibility is not just about location. We can do it online, we can do it offline, but wherever you are, maybe you're at an arts council event, a charity fundraiser, a church picnic, you are representing your business. It's about being in conversation with people and letting people get to know you, because people do business with people that they know and trust, right? Yourself. Don't be afraid to talk yourself up. What makes you unique? Why should people choose you? Every month I send out a newsletter, and if I'm doing something special professionally, I announce it. I want my students to know they have a teacher that presents at state conferences and national conferences and sits on state boards and spends weekends at workshops learning how to be a better teacher. I send out a studio highlights newsletter, reminding families of all that went on that year. Get people to talk about your stuff. Again, another quote from Seth Godin. I'm sure you guys can tell I like him. He's just brilliant. The thing that's going to decide what gets talked about, what gets done, what gets changed, what gets purchased, what gets built is it remarkable? And remarkable is a really cool word because we think it just means neat, but it also means worth making a remark about. Powerful. You know, it's really impossible to resist an enthusiast, someone that's enthusiastic about almost anything. And I was one of those people that sold Cutco knives in college, and there might be some more Cutco cutlery people out there. But I remember in training sessions, them telling us that we should match a person's personality. So when you meet someone, whether it's in person or on the phone, take note of their demeanor. If they're a timid person, approach them at their level. Be enthusiastic, but at their level. The great quote by Jay Danzy, love it. Your smile is your logo. Your personality is your business card. How you leave others feeling after having an experience with you becomes your trademark. Don't be afraid to market yourself. 6, create a group atmosphere among your students and families. Hold group classes, registration sessions, mini recitals, or summer studio picnics. Create sessions where your situations where your families interact with each other and see they're not the only ones. Number 7, think outside the box. If you need to build your income, but getting new students is slow going, then stop and think outside the box. Perhaps you can maximize on the clients you already have. What about maybe offering an add-on option to your current clients, a once-a-month music history class, or maybe extra coaching sessions or discounted lessons for parents of current students? I love that idea. Especially for the littlest ones, their parents helping them out. Maybe you're about to lose a good student and you don't have a waiting list. Find out what their needs are and work with them. If they want to keep at it but need more flexibility, then perhaps you let them buy lessons a la carte. I don't know, just don't feel tied to your own policies. They're there to protect you, not to bind you. I would rather keep a good solid student whose parents are struggling to pay and give them 10% off than to start with an unknown new student. But, persist in trying new ideas. If something doesn't work, just reassess and move on. Lastly, build rapport with your current families. If people know you're thinking about their lives, they're more likely to want to do business. Let your families know you care about them beyond just the piano. Send them a birthday card, true snail mail. Send a card if there's a death in the family, like a grandparent. Have conversations with them and treat them as real people, your neighbors, not just a client that needs to be scooted out the door. Building relationships with families is building your referral network. Independent teachers are unique because no two of us are alike, right? We're all different teachers with different styles, different backgrounds, locations, and life situations. I built a business in a town that I had some previous connections with, and you may be starting out in a town where you know no one and your situation may look different. However you choose to draw in students depends on your goals as a teacher, the students you want, and even how quickly you need the income. It was really amazing for me to look back and reflect on all these different things I tried, many of which I had even forgotten about. But, because of these upfront efforts, I was able to grow my studio and waiting list in under 2 years. Whatever you do, be creative. And remember the ABC marketing mantra, always be closing. Basically, how is this idea going to gain you students? How are you going to close the sale? All the work it takes to build a business and keep it afloat is rewarding, not just because it helps you build a business, a career, an income, but because you get the chance to find students like this darling little Maddie who have an energy and excitement for learning that makes you even more excited about teaching. The more you build your student base, the more selective you can become. The first time I realized I had a waiting list and I could actually select who I wanted to take on next rather than feel obligated to take the next person who walked through the door was a really great feeling. And I definitely hope it's a success that we can all experience. So I am just really excited. I hope you guys have lots of notes written down. My contact details are there with my website and email and Twitter, and would love to hear from you.
Amy, you are amazing. I knew, I should have mentioned right at the start that we met at MTNA for the first time, even though we'd been connecting online. And I went to your presentation about this stuff live, and I could not get over a couple of things. One was your creativity, which is just amazing. And I'd love to talk about that just right at the end too. The research kind of analytics that you've done, which I think is just phenomenal, your energy, but just the fact that you're so happy to share all these great ideas with people in the world, I think is just fantastic. So look, I just want to, while we get a few questions in, I've just been noting a few other things that have popped up in the stream, which we'll talk about in a moment. I wanted to mention that really this is just the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the kind of training and resources that I'm trying to put together for piano teachers all around the world. And what I've done recently is create a place to put all that stuff, and that's called the Inner Circle. And it's a place where the best people from around the world can gather, share ideas, get inspired, and where my hope is that we can really change the face of piano teaching around the world. That is my ultimate goal, because I think there is so much that we can be doing to really inspire our kids. Now, if you're already a member of the Inner Circle, then all the bonus material and the replay will be ready for you straight after this webinar. So feel free to jump in there and grab it really shortly. But for everyone else, I wanted to just talk about a couple of the things that you can actually access when you're in there. And I'm really pleased to say that Amy herself is inside the Inner Circle, and we've got a number of really crucial, important people in there who are just doing phenomenal stuff and really sharing it with everyone and helping everyone out, which I think is so, so important. So first and foremost, I've decided to stop releasing resources separately. So while you could download the odd thing off my website, all my resources, my training videos, my teaching pop piano training series, all that stuff, it's just all in the membership area. And that's where I'll be growing more resources over time. You also get access to the forum. So this is where the community of piano teachers, which is just gone over 150 now and building, is hanging out. So it's a place where you can ask all the questions that you wanted. No questions too silly to ask. It's where you can share your own resources. It's where you can really challenge yourself and challenge other people to perhaps a new way of thinking about something. We also get on our monthly masterminds. So this is a Google Hangout, a little bit like this, but instead of just two people talking, we get a whole lot of people, a whole lot of members putting their heads together, sharing ideas, and often on specific topics. And it's a chance that you can, air any questions you've got, and we can actually put our heads together to support you and solve any issues that you might be having in your studio. As I mentioned before, I've asked and invited a number of special experts, people expert in their field, to come into the Inner Circle and be there to guide our members. So, for example, if you're really into creativity and improvising, then the master of that is Bradley Sowash and Leela Viss, for that matter. Those guys are in there, they're helping, and they're really making people think about that whole style of teaching. If you're interested in group lessons, then Paul Myatt, who's also on this call, he's in there. He runs huge franchise music studios with massive groups and is doing fantastic things. He's in there to help you as well. It's people like this that are really making the community what it already is. You also get a whole lot of bonuses. So I've actually come to some exclusive agreements with sheet music publishers, software providers around the world to offer my members benefits that you won't actually get anywhere else. And of that, I'm really, really proud. Things like ongoing sheet music discounts is pretty cool. So who's it for? Well, it's for people like you. It's for people on a call like this who are inspired about being the best teachers they can be, who want to grow their studio, who want to teach more and more people around the world, who want to have a real impact in the lives of the people that they touch. That's who it's for. It's to support you in being the best teacher that you can be, and to also challenge you to do some things perhaps a little bit differently. So I thought what I might do is just spend literally a couple of minutes and jump in live to the Inner Circle so you can actually see what is actually going on in there and what it actually looks like. So this is the main kind of hub of the community. This is the community forum. So the topics down the left-hand side here, you can see recent forum topics are posted automatically up here, and also recent replies here. So we could easily just jump into one of these topics now. I know that Paul, who I mentioned just a moment ago, had created recently a scales sheet for his studio. And so he actually popped it in here to get some feedback on it. It's a resource that he's providing for his students. And it started quite an interesting conversation about how we all teach scales. You can see different people are tagged, so you get notified when things go live that might be of interest to you. You can also see on the right-hand side, you can see who's online at the moment, who's been recently online, and you can, of course, change your profile pic and all that kind of stuff. You can also search, you can see a list of members, and you can find members that you might want to talk to. You can also see most popular topics. Now, importantly too, as I mentioned before, the resources, this is like a supermarket, I guess, of piano teaching resources, right? So in resources, you get a whole lot of teaching videos. So me actually teaching in my studio, see what I actually do. Presentations that I give that you might not be able to attend live are generally recorded, and they end up in here. You'll see that the webinars, this is where they end up. There is some free sheet music as well. And I'll just go to technology and apps. So this is actually a page of videos all about how I use a number of the apps that I use in my piano teaching. From things like kind of simple things, I guess, like organizing your iPad to using specific apps. And these are all my favorites. You can click on that, have a look over my shoulder effectively and see how I use these things. So this is the kind of resource base that I'm putting together for members. They all have full access. And excitingly too, my top-rated resource has always been my Teaching Pop video series. So this is a 8-part online video series about how to teach pop. So if you've never taught pop music, or you're unsure about it, or you're a little bit unsure of how to start doing it, how to teach with chords, all that kind of stuff, then this is the course for you to take. And it's all in there. It's all part of your membership. So one of the exciting things that we've got today is the fact that I'm really pleased to announce that if you want access right now, then you can take advantage of a very, very special offer. And that's $10 off your monthly membership or $100 off an annual membership. And this is for life. This is for as long as you are a member, you will stay at the price that you get when you begin. So you've got 2 codes here, and you don't necessarily have to write them down because I'm going to send you to a page where you can actually copy them. So I'll show you that in just one sec. But the page you need to go to is timtopham.com/letmein. If you head over to that page, I'll show you what it looks like. You'll get a quick overview of some of the essential resources, some notes from other teachers about their experience, a summary of what you get, and then down here, you'll be able to see your current membership prices. So when you click on the Let Me In button, that's where you want to use this coupon code. So you can simply highlight it and copy it and paste it in, and you'll be locked in at that price, as I say, for as long as you're a member of this community. So look, I'm really excited to have you in there. Make sure you check it out now. While we go to the final Q&A, you're more than welcome to actually sign up right now. But I just wanted to ask, there was a couple of comments and questions from other people, Amy, as well. Paul said that there's actually a photo release form template. If you search for that on Google, you can actually get a standard one. Have you ever used those before?
I didn't Google for one. I think I may have got mine originally off of Natalie Wickham. She may have, I don't know, it's been several years since I first created it, but I'm pretty sure that she's the first one that I saw do it, and I just wrote my own release form off of her. Or I think also Music Learning Community Online has some kind of a release form as well. But yeah, you can just Google that kind of stuff and easily find useful ones out there. So great idea.
In fact, yeah, I think it's a resource that we're going to chuck in the Inner Circle now, because we've actually got a business forum, and that's exactly where it should go. So I'm going to chuck one of those up on the forums today. Now, someone else said, Shelley said that she gets most Facebook hits with personal stories and pictures and things like that. And that's why you're really promoting that idea of getting the photos in there, isn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, people want to love seeing what their kids are doing and what their friends' kids are doing and their nieces and nephews are doing, and tagging, parents in it allows, people that they're connected to be able to see, what they're doing. So if they haven't maybe even liked my page, and then people sometimes follow my page just because of that.
Yeah. Cool. Ellen asks, Amy, if you had to pick one marketing tool to start with today for a new teacher, what would you choose?
Oh gosh. The first thing I would do, the very first thing I would do is, I would go contact music teachers in your community, to be honest. I just think that that's a really big thing, is just knowing who they are. And like I said, I've had lots of people that have come to me because of their music teacher telling them about me. So that's the very first easiest step that you could do. And then if you want the second one, it would be those parks and recreation classes that I've done. Honestly, I wish that I did them the very first. I didn't do it until my second year, and I regretted it. And people in my community had, told me about these. Oh, you should try doing these. But I was like, I want to do everything on my own and, run my own business. And basically what they do is I just tell them what kind of classes that I want to run. If I want to charge for it, some people do, but I just make them free. It's just as a marketing tool. And they do all the advertising, all of it. And all they do is send me a class list. Simple, and it doesn't cost me anything. I think I blogged about the initial thing is, as I was designing some of the classes and starting some of my preschool lessons, I invested in some initial materials, but you wouldn't even have to do that. I mean, you can use whatever you have, but it's not like the $300 newspaper ad that I did.
That's exactly right. It was so cool to see, the price tag versus the outcome.
Yeah, exactly.
How did you actually keep up with keeping track of all that stuff? It must have been amazingly complex.
Well, you would think. I don't know. Like I just keep an Excel spreadsheet, and like every time someone, talks to me, calls me, even has a casual conversation with me or walks in the door of my studio, I make a note of it, throw it on a Post-it or send myself an email and make sure that it gets put onto my I call it my marketing or my waiting list spreadsheet. And I try to make the very first thing that I ask people, like when they start the conversation, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'm so great. I'd love to tell you about how I do lessons. Do you mind me just asking really quick how you heard about me though?
How'd you hear about me? Exactly. Yeah.
How'd you hear about, and try to get that out there first, because, like you saw in the charts, there was 10% of people that I just didn't get around to asking, whether it was, I forgot on the phone conversation, or I don't know, they dropped in while I was teaching a lesson and I really didn't have a chance to talk to them, directly too much, little things like that. But make it the very first question, casually that you ask them.
Now, one of the other viewers has mentioned a book called Personality Plus by Florence Latour, Littauer. It's a fantastic read about basic personality types, helps to understand every relationship. So thank you for sharing that. That's really, really good.
Love that, yeah. You were also asking about like keeping track of everything. The other thing I did was like every my students, when they register, I make sure that I remember where they came from. And so again, I have another spreadsheet with registered students, and that has like when they entered my studio, when they left my studio, if they, and like how they came to me from marketing. And so I just used all that to build my charts. Now, my beautiful charts, I have to give kudos to my husband. He's a numbers guy and he's an Excel whiz, and he helped me build those pretty things. But
that's cool. Elizabeth missed right at the start. She said her sound cut out when you were talking about how you were able to afford a studio when you first started out.
Oh, I don't think I talked about how I was able to afford a studio.
You happy to talk? I know it's not specifically marketing related, but I guess it's important because you obviously, location was a huge thing for you. Have you got any sort of tips about that approach?
Well, honestly, being stingy. My husband and I for years. I mean, like I said, I was a choir director for 3 years, and then we moved overseas, and we both worked full time. We don't have children. And so we just made it a strategy to just we knew that eventually this was going to happen someday. And so just save, knowing that we were going to open, a studio someday. And so a lot of it, we worked to pay for up front, so we weren't going and having loans to open the studio. And, I'm lucky that we, like I said, sometimes it's how quickly you need to build the income. I realize there's teachers out there that can't just go do this, or, that they can't afford to, not get a lot of, to not, to be paying, to be paying monthly rental fees or anything. But, you just got to do what you can with what you have. Maybe try one thing at a time. You don't have to break the bank. But like I said, it's not all just maybe about, money or having fancy things or having always a great location, but, marketing yourself is really important too. And, having great materials, and there's just so many different avenues that you can take, to put yourself out there in a great way. So,
Yep.
yeah, I don't know.
No,
You be
cool.
creative,
Yeah.
like you said. You be creative. Yeah.
You are the master of creativity. Now we've got another question from Ver Videos Online 1. I'm sorry, I don't know the name of this person. Would you recommend marketing on Instagram or Snapchat? And for which audiences do you think that would be most effective?
Well, there's a great article on Snapchat by Daniel Patterson that you should check out.
Okay, so that's on Grow Your Music Studio.
GrowYourMusicStudio.com, and he would have more information on that than I would.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah, for sure. So, I think Facebook is the main place where it's at, to be honest. Like I said earlier, maybe if you have a studio where you're trying to, build like college students, they may be more on Instagram or something like that. If you wanted older students, it's just, but Facebook is definitely the first place to be.
Yep, brilliant. Now, look, I think with this, a couple more questions, but I understand that we're just over the hour mark now. So what I might do is just for those people who are still here, give you your bonus access code. Stay on the call. If you've still got some questions that are unanswered, then we will continue with a couple more after this. But if you're looking for those bonuses, then all you need to do is head to timtopham.com/Amy, WW, bonus 16. So that's Amy Wild West, WW, bonus 16. And I will send you a link to that as well. And the replay will be available for 48 hours for everyone that's been on the call today. And then it'll be part of the InnerCircle membership community. So all InnerCircle members get access to it for ongoing. So look, guys, thank you very much for being a part of today. As I say, there's still a couple of questions outstanding. So if you've got just a few more minutes, Amy, if we go to those questions.
Sure.
Yep.
Sure.
Otherwise, we'll definitely see you inside the InnerCircle and on the blog in time. Now, one of the other questions was, re the paid, the online ads, this is a question from me actually. I know other, like Daniel Patterson, we've been talking about Grow Your Music Studio, is quite keen on the Facebook advertising side of things, although he does talk about lots of ways you can do it without paying for advertising. Have you any experience with paying for Facebook advertising, or is that just because of the direction you've gone, it hasn't been something you've tried so much?
You know what? Actually, I did experiment a little bit back at the beginning of this year. After reading Daniel's, I actually proofed it for him before he put out that Facebook guide. After reading that, I got lots of ideas from him, and so I did trial the creating an ad on Facebook. Really, you can do this for as little as $1 a day, and to me, it's worth the experiment of doing it. I haven't done it enough that I feel like I can give any kind of complete results. I think I just ran an ad for like a month. And I think I got maybe 10 people. I was just promoting my studio is what it was, for people to like my Facebook page. And I think I got maybe 10 people to like my Facebook page. So, if I can get people in the surrounding communities to just know that I'm even here, to me, that's a success. Because sometimes it's about putting yourself in front of people that are going to recommend you, not necessarily your customers, but people that will recommend you to your customers. So visibility, right? Absolutely.
Yep. I've just had someone ask about the link to the InnerCircle and the bonus code. So they're on the screen now. Christina asks, have you tried Google AdWords?
I have not. Have you, Tim?
I haven't actually. It's one of those kind of things that I think you either go down the social media advertising path, or you go down Google AdWords. And for me, it's just a whole nother thing I would need to learn, and I haven't really got into it. So, but I have heard some people have success with it. So for people that aren't familiar, Google AdWords gives you the option to have your listing come up at the top of the Google search results. So you actually pay to list.
Right. And don't quote me on this, but I swear, it's sticking in my mind. I feel like Daniel may have done a post on Google AdWords too, but I don't know if it's him or someone else that I'm thinking of that I recently read about. But yeah, anyways.
I think, as you said earlier on too, it's a matter of choosing, not trying to do everything. And I say this when I share things with teachers, particularly regarding technology. it's like, don't...
you don't have to do it all.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, like I said before, you do have to do Facebook.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
And someone else has said, I absolutely recommend Google AdWords. So look,
great.
It
yeah,
depends.
Some success with it. Yeah.
He says he gets most of his students from Google AdWords. So there you go. Absolutely. It depends, and depends what you're comfortable doing and all that.
And where you're at, if you're in I feel like maybe if you're in a larger city, you might, have more success with something like that. I don't know, like as a small town rural girl, maybe it's not quite as useful for me. I think it just depends. Yeah. Are you looking to draw, in lots of students for a huge music studio? Are you in the city? Are you in the country? Like, where are your people? Where are the people that you're looking for? Yeah.
And I think, he's just followed up with, I think it's a pretty steep learning curve. So there you go. But mind you, Facebook ads can be a bit of a steep learning curve too.
That's right.
What would you say to any teachers who are still maybe avoiding Facebook? Because I know there is still some out there.
I would say it's not as scary as you think it is. It's only overwhelming, I think, if you let it be. And there's just so many good things that you can do with it. I mean, just get yourself on there and try. Just take a baby step. Just take a baby step. And if it's not for you, it's not for you. But if you need to grow your studio, then you need to do everything that you can. If you're not getting students, then you sometimes got to do things that we don't like doing.
Yep. No, I understand.
Yeah, but you got to get out there. So.
Yeah. Now I've got a message from Colin. Sorry, Colin. He said when he clicks the "Let Me In" link with the discount, the pop-up page doesn't show the discount. Yes, sorry, Colin. That's the case. Just copy the coupon code in. So copy the coupon code, click "Let Me In," add your details, and then add the code on that page. That will then confirm the discount for you. And Lynette from Perth. Sorry, go on.
No, go ahead.
Lynette from Perth has just said, I am one of those teachers, have avoided Facebook so far. So Lynette,
honesty is good, Lynette. You can do it. You can do it, girl. One thing I wanted to say, especially if you have a new studio and you're wanting, to draw on students quickly, is get out there. Like I was so tempted as a new teacher coming out of my pedagogy degree. All I wanted to do was think about how I taught and writing the best lesson plans and looking for the best materials. And my husband, who actually has an entrepreneurship degree on, my little pusher behind me was going, no, you need to be spending your time marketing. You need to be getting out there. What are you doing this week? Like, what are you doing? Yeah. And so, it's very tempting to want to spend a lot of your extra time, being the best teacher you can be at the beginning. But when you're trying to build your studio fast, you need to spend as much time on your marketing as you can, your extra time. So,
Yep. And Amy, I haven't mentioned it, but we have had so many people saying thank you for all this great information. So there's so many really positive comments coming through. It's great that we've
happy
been able
to do
help.
it.
Yeah, absolutely. We've just got a couple more have just come through. Which is better on Facebook? Community page, musician page, business page? Do you have any feelings on that one?
Oh boy, it's been a while since I've set mine up. Probably business. I don't know that it matters completely. I think it just has to do with, it's still just going to be a Facebook page. I don't think it matters what type that it's like categorized under necessarily.
Yeah, I think I went for a business page. I think it is.
I think I did too.
Business. I think community, the main differences is perhaps community pages or versus musicians will have different features. So a musician's page might be easier to upload music to, or that kind of a thing.
Right. Yeah, that could be. Yeah.
Business page is probably the way to go.
Yeah.
So that's probably. I think that's kind of one of the last questions. We did another question in regard to. So if you're a PianoFlix member, and if you've already got a PianoFlix subscription, so one of the people here has said, "How can I upgrade to the InnerCircle?" What you'll need to do, I'll just show you on screen now, is rather than signing in on this page, what you need to do is go to the actual InnerCircle, which is members.timtopham.com, members.timtopham.com. What you'll need to do is just log in on this page. There'll be a login form down the bottom using your PianoFlix credentials, and then head to the Let Me In page. And then that will allow you, when you click on this, I'll actually show you guys For those of you who are about to do this or having any trouble with it, I'm just going to select this coupon code here. I'm going to press Control-C or Command-C. I'm going to click Let Me In. And on this page, I've already signed up. I'm already a member, so the form isn't here. But on this page, you'll write in your name, your address, just your name, your email, your password, and then there'll be a box for the coupon code. And that's where you pop the Webinar ICM or Webinar ICA coupon codes. That will give you your discount, which will be confirmed before you actually go through to the actual payment page. All right, so I hope that helps out everyone. Oh, looks like she's got it sorted out anyway. So I think we might wrap it up there. It is really, really cool. Amy, thank you so much again for your time. It's just been amazing, literally.
Happy to do it.
And I don't say that lightly, to give away such awesome content and to have done so much work. That's what I think, we can all try a whole lot of different marketing things, but to actually go through and take notes of all the stuff that you're doing, I think that is just phenomenal. So thank you.
It's been great.
All right. Well, look, we're going to sign off, everyone. I think we've answered all the questions. And as I say, we've had lots of great feedback. So you'll get an email with regard to the replay. If you missed any of the audio at the start or anything like that at all, or you want to watch it again and go through it a bit more slowly because there was so much content in there, then stay tuned to your emails. I think that's it. So I'll say goodbye, Amy. We'll sign off. And I look forward to speaking to you again really, really soon.
Okay. We'll talk to you later. Thanks, Tim.
All right. See you guys. Bye, everyone.
Bye. See ya.
Bye.